While navigating life, you can choose to hide in the hull of your boat and be buffeted by the waves, or grab the ropes and sail. You can work with the winds with a bigger sense of direction. It's a conscious choice of being okay, a conscious process of being okay as well. So at other times, there are huge experiences that you have, and you can't resist them or fight them. You just have to go with them. For example, the grieving process. And in that situation, maybe it's better to just release yourself and accept the currents and take yourself wherever the boat's taking you. But a lot of the times, we do really have a bit more control. So we don't want to be just knocked about all over the place and have no sense of direction at all. We need to be able to have some sort of control of how we regulate ourselves. Um, I think it is very much so an active choice to have decided to advocate for yourself. So I am able to make some control over how I regulate myself, and I will sort of take responsibility and action in my life to calm myself as well. So it is a part of it is about just being accepting of yourself. You can't always regulate perfectly, but it's just an ongoing process that you're committing to. So dysregulation is when our internal resources are just not sufficient to effectively process, understand, and respond to the perceived demands or the actual demands on us. Sometimes those demands come from the people, sometimes they come from us as well. So that's what's going on when you are experiencing that dysregulation. So what does that dysregulation look like? You can just look really chaotic, like you don't know what you're doing. You're really clumsy. Your actions just don't look well thought out. And maybe it's that people expect you to do something and you're just not doing it. You're just stuck or frozen in that sort of inaction. And dysregulation is obviously just the way you are sometimes. But actually, when you're getting to a point where it's happening lots, it's happening really, really frequently, it lasts a really, really long time before you can balance yourself again. All of those things are keys to a sign that you are getting dysregulated as a person, and that can last for a lot, lot longer. Instead, you need to find a chance to stop and regulate yourself. So that these things happen less frequently, they don't last as long, and they're not as intense. That's what we're kind of aiming for. I love this quote. I think it's really captures the importance of self-regulation. Sometimes you don't realize that you're borrowing from tomorrow just to try and get through today. Being frequently unbalanced, you might be able to just about get through it, but how much is it draining your resources? So how much is it going to dysregulate you by pushing yourself so hard beyond a point that actually feels manageable? Sometimes you need to consider that your resources are finite and that you need to balance loads of different parts of your life as well. Your work life, your parenting life, all those responsibilities, household chores, the everlasting life admin. All of those things are demands on you. And so not being able to regulate well across all those different demands in your life can just mean that you sort of descend into chaos. And, you can start to really spiral if you don't take your regulation needs into consideration. So it's something here we really want you to pause for a moment. We're about to talk about extreme dysregulation, which can be really upsetting for people because people may have had their own really big experiences, difficult experiences of it. If this is something that feels too raw for you right now, absolutely fine. Just give yourself a bit of breathing space and skip to the next section instead. Extreme dysregulation is when you just feel like you can no longer function as a person. You're really having such high levels of distress. Sometimes you can describe it as like losing the capacity to even engage with your environment and the people around you. Sometimes that looks like really, really tiny stopping, quiet behaviors, like completely shutting down. And sometimes it looks like big fireworks. That's when you're blowing up. These are genuine phrases that I've heard when people talk about other people when they're dysregulated or to themselves. They're just saying, "Oh, you can just see it in her eyes that she's just gone." People saying, "I don't know who I am when it happens. It feels like in that moment my brain has just died. I just suddenly feel like a wild animal." And yeah, it's like he's just gone. And it can be a very, very scary experience. It can be scary to experience it yourself. They might really frighten you and make you feel totally out of control. And it can come with a really, really deep sense of shame and feeling like you're really unlovable. Some really, really big experiences, terrifying feelings that you have. But just remember that these are still human experiences. Likelihood is you will manage to write yourself. It just might take you another moment than it might do for someone else. And so just give yourself a little bit of time and compassion as well. So hopefully by learning to regulate yourself, and there'll be lots more tips in this course as well, then it will help you to start to minimize those instances of like really extreme dysregulation. The consequences of being dysregulated can hurt. You know, there can be actual things that go wrong as a result of it. There may be actual problems that happen, or long-term consequences. But something that can hurt a lot more is actually seeing how it changes how others think of you. And so it's really important to engage the people around you, to recognize that they are having an experience of your extreme dysregulation. You know, particularly thinking about children, because seeing someone else extremely dysregulated could be really hurtful or scary or confusing. They just might not understand. And the same could also go for people that you parent alongside, or your own family as well. And I think it can create this sense of sometimes like humiliation or vulnerability, and I feel like things can't go back to how they were. But please do remember that isn't the case. And I think it's just about recognizing and giving yourself a little bit of love and self-care in this process, recognizing that everyone gets to this point sometimes, but it's not final. You do come back. And a really, really important way and effective way of making sure that you can bounce back a bit more and support that regulation is to really talk to the people around you about your experience of being dysregulated, and also taking into consideration their experiences or how they can contribute. And so these are some of the questions that you might, some of the things you might be thinking about to build maybe a script around those situations, to work with others around you to help you. And so the worksheet task we'd love you to complete is developing your own dysregulation script, which is ways in which you can talk about your dysregulation with others, so that they understand, and to give yourself like some reassuring scripts yourself so that you understand what it's like when you're in that sort of extreme dysregulation point, or the dysregulation point, and to use different tools to kind of help you get out of it as well.